The Last of Us 2 Remaster. The Last of Us 2 Remaster. Again, it got the official trailer. We know it's coming January 19th of next year. That's, again, been open to a lot of praise, controversy, what have you. But alongside the remastered Last of Us 2 single player mode, there is another mode that will be accompanying this game. It's called No Return. So it's a roguelike mode. You're going through different levels with a lot of different characters. I think it's probably a full roster about 12, 13, 14, 15 folks. Again, you're going through a lot of different levels, again, surviving, making it through, again, like the hospital basements, like Tommy's old, layer or base in the snow in the wintry months and shit like that. There's a lot of crazy stuff in this, but just the reception of a Last of Us 2 Remastered and No Return mode. Your thoughts, Wen?
I think that Last of Us 2 Remastered, I know a lot of people, crazy hot take. I think it's gonna be kind of cool just because I enjoy seeing the graphic quality of the first part remastered. I don't think we needed a remaster for part two. I agree with everybody that like, yo, if we would have waited a little bit and dropped it later, it would have been fine. But I do think that playing this game in 4K is gonna be dope because this was a PS4 game, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those games that I played. It was like on the back end of the PS4 lifespan, so I played it with my girlfriend, had a lot of fun with it. Really good story, really dope game, really, really good game. I do think this new mode is gonna be cool, so it gives people more of a reason to tap into this, especially since this game isn't that old to begin with. Some people probably already still have Last of Us 2 on their PlayStation, so it makes sense, like, if you wanna buy this game, buy it for this extra mode. Definitely a strong PlayStation Plus contender, if you ask me. Definitely one of those, like, Imma wait for either a big sale or for them to let me play it with my subscription. But I don't think that this is necessarily like a dud on release. I think it has its value.
Mm. And and again, I'll go through the positive. In this one, I'm actually going to be more negative. What the fuck? We're starting the episode off role reverse. This shit is crazy. But I'll start off by saying with the positive, again, there is the no return mode, which is, again, like the randomized runs, which is, again, pretty solid. Again, different factors that change the gameplay. When you're going through, I'm pretty sure I think there was something they said about daily runs that are like people can go back in. There's a certain level of replayability behind these as well, on top of, again, the randomizers, the different, gameplay twists, and just the incentive of, again, having different runs and things to achieve, which is cool. I'm not even mad at that. And I'm happy that they at least tack something on additionally to, again, make this somewhat beyond its value, just beyond, hey, we touch some things up, here's the remaster. That's good. And again, they I think they put a $10 upgrade on people who already have The Last of Us Part 2 purchased, I think. So there's at least some incentive for people who've already already have the game and just want to see it retouched. There's only a $10 upgrade. I think it's only digital, so that might suck for a few people who ordered it physical, but at least that option is there for people. This is my thing. Dropping a game that is just a retouch up of a game that came out 3.5 years ago, how much of a substantial leap can you make in graphical upgrade? Again, the 4K case, that's pretty understandable. But from what I was seeing, again, some of the screen caps, some of the gameplay of it that's been out in the wild so far, one of the big criticisms has been, is this a substantial enough upgrade to justify an extra $60? You know what I'm saying? At $60, $70 for people getting the regular full price thing without the upgrade and the full thing and the what's called the no return mode on top. Me, no. It doesn't. At least for my eye. I don't have the, the 4K odds and ends like when I ain't stocked up like Tony Stark just yet. Wait on me till next year. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's just like the timing of it, bro. It's too soon. It's too soon to tap into this bank. I feel like, I don't want to say it's just me, but it might just be me. Naughty Dog's kind of in this place where they have to, again, kind of hit this. They got to maximize their time while Last of Us is hot. Because, again, the show's going hot. It just won a bunch of awards. That came out. Last of Us, what's it called? DLC, I think, came out in the past, year or so. Or the remaster of, Part 1 came out, like, last year. I feel like Sony's directive and Sony's direction and vision with them is to maximize as much like again, just not necessarily profit margin, but as much buzz around their IP as possible before they can hand it off to the next thing. Which I don't know if it's going to be another Uncharted, or again, Spider-Man kind of came out this year, and there was a whole question of whether they needed more time with their first party stuff. Like the gap between first party stuff can't be too long for PlayStation and first party IPs, so they have to get something on the cards. With Last of Us Part 1, a part of me understands, again, doing that for the PS5 because it was a PS3 game, even though there was like 4 other different versions that were ported and shit like that. That's a whole nother kettle of fish. But I just don't want... My fear is that people are going to get into this cycle. And by people, I mean gaming studios. Not necessarily the devs, but the people who make the decisions behind them. They're going to see the success of this, and they're going to be like, yo... We can kind of apply this across the board to where, a game came out a couple years ago, maybe late PS4 era. There might not be too much of a difference, but hey, stop spending time on other projects. Go back and set this up right here. Go back and set up this game that came up 3 years ago, because we can tap back in on the profits. It was pretty successful. We'll capitalize on it, recycle that in a quicker range than actually working on something else, like say Last of Us multiplayer, Last of Us factions, and go that way. And that could undercut a lot of potentially good projects from coming out from these existing IPs and from these first party studios. I just don't want that to become a precedent, because I am seeing signs that people are going to opt to just stay on the existing rather than, again, build on something that's entirely new. You know what I'm saying? How much viability this mode's going to have, I don't know. The no return mode on top of it, I don't know. It could be some replayability, but with that, I think after a while people are gonna have their time with it. What's next after that? You know what I'm saying? What can you do after that? I feel like maybe the making of this took away from other projects that probably were, again, in the works, or maybe needed some more TLC, which I think was the Last of Us faction multiplayer. Yes, I'm salty as fuck about the Last of Us faction multiplayer. It's okay, sue me. Okay, no, don't sue me. Actually, Sony, chill out. Y'all stocked up. I'm not. Chill on me. But you can't stop the rain. You can't stop the rising tide. You can only hope that people kind of vote with their wallets in those cases. But this is still going to sell a ton. So if you're into it, cool. But in my personal opinion, I don't need it. I've already been through this this whole cycle with Last of Us Part 2 once, and I don't need another. You know what I'm saying? I don't need an extra. That extra mode's not going to justify it for me, in my opinion. But that's just my side.
No, and I completely understand that. I do think though, however, is that like we're just in that place already. Like we've had 17 different iterations of Skyrim. We've had so many
Oh
different iterations of
God.
so many different IPs.
Honestly,
And it's not to say
it's probably Bethesda's fault too. They made this shit normalized. They normalized
I'm
this shit.
I'm happy to blame Bethesda for problems in 2023. I do not mind it whatsoever. But it's definitely like something that we're in the midst of. And if honestly the best thing you could do, every gamer, if you don't like what's happening, do not pay money for it. Like there are people who will pay money for it. Like I know my girlfriend is probably looking at The Last of Us Remastered Part 2 right now because again her favorite franchise. I'm sure she's gonna have a ball with it. Me, not so much. But there are people who are gonna buy it. But as long as you guys are making your voices heard in a productive way, let's not dox people.
Yeah,
In a
please don't.
productive way and making your voices heard with your wallets, those people behind the devs who make the big decisions, they're not gonna make the big decisions to waste their money. So just
Yeah.
be cognizant of how you're spending your money. And I think we will see the end of the remake era, and by that, I don't think there will never be more remakes. There are always going to be remakes, but I
But
think
it's
we will
just
get to a point where we move past it
yeah.
being so frequent.
Yeah, the dominant force, honestly. And again, this is also a side note. Don't at developers directly thinking that they made the decision to do this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think a lot of these cases, people don't see the actual people who made decisions. And then a lot of devs are online, so they're the first line of, I guess, defense or access. And a lot of these like losers online are gonna be like, "Oh, devs, you did that. You did, like, bro. I'm just doing my job. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a part of this project that they set out. I'm like,
So
a lot of devs. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, a lot of devs aren't necessarily at fault, but
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They're just kind of in the system that's doing their job. They're just a part of the project. They're not the people who like pushed the button and said, "Go, let's keep doing this." At least in part.
yeah. No, so here's the thing. I'm gonna let everybody in on a little secret. The people who make these decisions, the big brains, the people who drive people to do these kinds of things, they're not on Twitter. You have actually no you have no way of connecting with them or talking to them outside of maybe going to like an industry event. that you probably aren't invited to because they only show up to like the really prestigious ones. So they'll be like, "Hey, who are you?" And you're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm just a fan." They'll be like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and then security will move in, to move closer to see what you're about to do. Like it's one of those things where it's like you could be mad, but you got to take this to the forums. You got to take this to the appropriate channels, to the Reddits. Like you got to take it to places that it actually matters. But doxing people, annoying people on Twitter, annoying people in their personal social media, it's stupid. It's stupid as hell, and you're not reaching the right people. You're never going to reach these people because the big business, the producers that are have like all the power and the say and the money, they are not on these websites. They are not. Maybe they'll be on LinkedIn, but even then, they aren't even posting on LinkedIn. They're just there to be seen.
Hmm.
So just find constructive ways to talk about or criticize these projects.
Facts, facts, though.